believe that Kamala Harris is whatever she says she is, but I believe importantly that President Trump is right that she's a chameleon. She pretends to be one thing in front of one audience. She pretends to be something different in front of another audience. Look, Dana, she's not running a political campaign. She's running a movie. She only speaks to voters behind a teleprompter. Everything is scripted. She doesn't have her policy positions out there. She hasn't answered why she wanted to ban fracking, but now she doesn't. She wanted to fund police, but now she doesn't. She wanted to open the border, but now she doesn't. She should have to answer for why she presents a different set of policies to one audience and a different set of policies to another audience. And I think that's what President Trump is getting at. This is a fundamentally fake person. She's different depending on who she's in front of. Now ask me 3 questions about comments that I made 3 years ago. I wonder what Kamala Harris thinks about the fact that she supported policies that opened the American southern border. I wonder what Kamala Harris thinks about the fact that she lied to the American people about Joe Biden's mental facility for the office. You are interviewing me, Dana, because I respect the American people enough to sit down for an interview.
I appreciate that.
Kamala Harris has been the nominee for 3 weeks. She hasn't sat down for a real interview.
Believe me, we are asking. You're not going to get a disagreement there.
Now,
J.D. Vance just had a masterful interview, in my humble opinion. And as you saw, there was some clips from it. J.D. Vance hitting at something that I think is very important that the American people need to understand is that Kamala Harris is a chameleon. I 100% agree. I pointed out that her political strategy seems to be plausible deniability, right? This is one of the reasons why she doesn't have a policy platform on her webpage. Allegedly, she's going to put one in the following weeks. We'll wait to see what that happens. 2, she's doing the Hillary Clinton playbook. Public policy, private policy. You won't know her private policies, but you'll damn know her public policies or whatever you need it to be to vote for her. All right? And this is a big problem that I noticed with Kamala Harris' support. And I'm noticing that she's rising in the polls. And I'm going, how? Like, how is she rising on the polls? Well, Kamala Harris decides to steal Trump's no tax on tips policy. This is the funny part about all this stuff, is that she created the Inflation Reduction Act. She was the deciding vote on that, right? And remember when Republicans had a problem with them hiring 87,000 IRS agents, because you don't need 87,000 IRS agents to investigate how many millionaires, billionaires, the billionaires. They're going for the billionaires. There's only 1,000 billionaires in the country, and you need 87,000 IRS agents to investigate 1,000 people. I mean, it don't make sense, right? And then when we try to explain this stuff, you're going to say, oh, you're disparaging her. Oh, you're calling her names, right? And this is where, our political discussion has become. We have such fragile people in this country where you merely criticizing someone very directly, a tax style bulldog approach doesn't work for moderates. Then the moderates don't want to be informed then. And I'm tired of this messaging. I don't know where it's coming from. Polls are coming out saying Kamala Harris is ahead. And I'm like, how can a candidate be ahead when she don't even have a policy position? When she doesn't get off the teleprompter? Where she doesn't even do interviews? I don't understand it. So check out this clip of Kamala Harris being a complete hypocrite. And then we'll go more into J.D. Vance's interview. Let's take a look.
And eliminate taxes on tips for service and hospitality workers.
A few moments later.
Biden seems intent on taking your earnings hostage. Now, the IRS, they just announced this week that they want to start tracking all of the tips that workers earn so that they can be taxed for it. So much for Biden's sacred promise not to raise taxes on anyone making less than $400,000 a year. Remember, this is all part of Biden's so-called Inflation Reduction Act.
The yeas are 50, the nays are 50. The Senate being equally divided, the Vice President votes in the affirmative, and the bill, as amended, is passed.
I don't care if you agree with me. I don't care if you don't like what I'm saying, if you're a Kamala supporter. One thing about politics is you have to have a long memory, because if you don't have a long memory, they can pull crap like this to you, and then you end up believing them. And this is another thing that Kamala Harris has to deal with. And I think this is a criticism that Donald Trump should launch at her. Donald Trump already called her out for stealing his policies. Donald Trump should also call out the fact that, hey, if you're so serious about this, you can do it right now as VP. Go lobby with Joe Biden and try to do it now. When you just passed a bill in 2022, the Inflation Reduction Act, you were the deciding vote, and you were cracking down on people so you can tax their tips. But all of a sudden in 2024, right? Now you're for no tax on tips. The criticism needs to come. JD Vance and them, and I think they're doing a good job. And I think this is why the chameleon label, the chameleon Kamala Harris stuff is landing, because of the fact that instances like this is just going to validate what Trump and JD Vance has been saying about her. Now, the media's been playing defense for Kamala Harris, which is nothing new, right? We all know that this is what the media seems to be like doing now. And I think I want to focus on one particular moment is when JD Vance is talking about Tim Walz's record and how he exaggerated it. So let's take a look. Enough of me talking. Let's take a quick look.
And on the question of when he left the National Guard, he filed his election paperwork February 10th, 2005. That was a month before the National Guard even announced that it was possible that they would deploy to Iraq, and it ended up being 2 months. He retired 2 months before they actually got the paperwork.
But on CNN last night, Dana, one of the people who was actually in charge of him said they knew they were going to deploy to Iraq in February of 2004, fall of 2004. So he knew he was going to Iraq. He decided to quit, to retire, whatever word you want to use.
Retire.
Because he wanted to run for Congress. He lied about that. He said that when he decided.
Now, one thing I noticed about this interview is that Dana Bash, I already told you, for me, she's a partisan, but she attempts numerous times in this 3-minute segment to reframe what words mean. Like, for instance, he said he quit, which is still accurate, but it is a negative connotation. Like, hey, I don't like, it's a subjective view. Hey, I don't like that you quit months before you're supposed to actually deploy to Iraq, right? And she's going, no, he retired. Okay, whatever you want to call it. Like, it's like you want to focus on semantics. It seems like the media, they only care about framing. And this is what I'm talking about with the media. The media isn't an information machine anymore. It's a propaganda machine. It's a narrative machine. They're trying to control your perception of things. They want you to perceive things a certain way. And this is what the media has become. And I think if you want to be an informed voter in 2024, you must accept that, hey, media are trying to frame things in certain lights based on their preferred bias. And you as an individual have to do your own due diligence. That's all I'm trying to warn you in this video, regardless if you agree with me or not. Let's take a look. Let's continue with the video.
Decided to retire. He did not know that he was going to Iraq. That is another untruth, as even his senior military officer said. So again, I'm not criticizing the service. I'm criticizing the dishonesty. Dishonesty spoken in favor and for the purpose of political benefit. And I think that the most important thing here, Dana, is it goes to Kamala Harris's judgment. Tim Walz is ultimately going to be the vice president. Kamala Harris is in great health. I'm sure she's going to be president if she wins for 4 or maybe even 8 years. Why did Kamala Harris choose a person who has lied about their military service? I think that is a serious lapse in judgment. And I don't want to hear from a campaign spokesperson of Kamala Harris. I want to hear Kamala Harris herself address what I just said.
I've seen a lot of statements from veterans, including those you serve with, saying it's just untoward to be criticizing some.
And it goes back to this problem I had with politics in the beginning, where there's moderates getting mad about this approach from JD Vance, saying that, oh, you're scaring off moderates. You're scaring off moderates with the truth, with information, right? So the Democrats are allowed to name call Republicans, call them weirdos, call them Hitler, fascists, whatever, threat to democracy, right? But that don't scare away moderates. You see, I think Frank Lux, I have a problem with him. I might do a separate video on him, but I'm hearing this narrative that, Republicans, a bulldog approach isn't working. It's scaring off moderates. Like, where is this coming from? I just want to know, where is this coming from? And the media, it's almost like moderates, y'all believe the media a little bit too much. This is my criticism on the moderates. Y'all get led by the nose by people who 97% of them are Democrats. And you believing a narrative that they're putting, that you believing the picture that they're painting. And when the Republicans try to call that out, highlight that, which in a way which is like very effective, because this is the only way I pay attention to Republicans. Republicans been talking about policy. Republicans is the one that have a policy platform, yet Kamala Harris is tied with Donald Trump on the polls. Why? We don't like his approach. this keeps going back to this live stream that I did, that emotionalism has ruined politics. Because now the media, when they have no argument, they go about, well, a lot of veterans didn't feel like it was warranted for you to attack his military record. But you don't think military people will be mad about the fact that he exaggerated his military record? I served 24 years. I carried weapons in war. You never went to a war zone, Mr. Waltz, Mr. Walls. But that's not offensive to veterans. You see the narrative game that's being played here? I want you guys to be able to suss this out, because I'm starting getting tired of this.
Somebody who served for 24 years.
Dana, I'm not interested in the ad hominem. I've heard from a lot of veterans groups who criticize Tim Walz. The question is, he said he served in war, and he didn't. That is a dishonesty. I couldn't care less what one or the other person says about it. I care about what the truth is. The truth is that Tim Walz didn't tell the truth. And importantly, Dana, this is about Kamala Harris's judgment. And I think that when you ask, why has Kamala Harris allowed the border to be wide open? Why has Kamala Harris supported policies that have promoted the increase in inflation? I think it goes to the heart of her judgment, and I think that that's what we should be talking about.
One last question. Donald Trump didn't serve in the military. He received a medical draft deferment.
That's the funny part. So in the intro, remember when he started bringing stuff about how Kamala Harris isn't doing interviews, how Kamala Harris isn't answering questions, and then she said, I'm not interviewing Kamala Harris, I'm interviewing you. And then she asked JD Vance about comments about Waltz's military record, and she had no pushback against it. She had nothing to say, like nothing to counter, nothing. So everything he said was factual, so she couldn't do anything about that. So then she runs to Trump's military service. Last time I checked, I didn't even know Trump served the military. Oh, because he didn't. Did Trump run on that record? Like what? Like it's like they're trying to make an apples to orange comparisons with Trump and this guy. Trump couldn't go because of bone spurs, I believe. Okay, you never said he served in the military. So what's your point? This guy's using his military record for political gain. Trump didn't run on that. And last time I checked, why you ask Joe Biden this question? Joe Biden also didn't make it into that. I think 5 times he missed the Vietnam War, I think, if I remember correctly, due to medical reasons. Now you calling into questions Donald Trump's medical like, come on, media. One thing I've taught, like one piece of wisdom, and I'm gonna leave it here, is that people suck at judging people's motives. We're good at judging people's actions. And at the end of the day, Donald Trump is not running on his military record, or that the fact that he went to the military. Walz is. So I don't understand this pivot, but I digress.
For bone spurs to avoid serving in the Vietnam War, reportedly as a favor to his father. Do you find that shameful too?
I think that Donald Trump didn't serve in the military, but he didn't lie about it, Dana. I've known Donald Trump for a long time. He really honors our veterans. He honors me for my service.
So now we're questioning people's medical history, right? You see this? Do you have proof that it wasn't bone spurs? Like, this is my art. That's what I would ask. I said, okay, why are you so sure that this is not real? How you know it wasn't like a real medical condition? Do you have evidence to counter what was stated back then? No? Okay, then why bring it up? Right? Emotional. Oh, take for tat. Like, come on. Like, let's focus on what's real here. You want to go to a dude's oh, he avoided the draft because he had bone spurs. Oh, do you have evidence to suggest that he did? No, but I think so.
Donald Trump didn't lie about serving in the military. He didn't say that he went to Vietnam when he didn't. This is the problem. I don't criticize anybody, whether they served our country or not. I think it's honorable to serve, but obviously a lot of people have reasons for not serving. I criticize somebody for embellishing their record, for lying, saying, I went to war. Dana, do you think that it's a problem that he said, I went to war, but he didn't actually? That seems to be a problem to me.
Well, they've corrected that. Let's move on to...
They've corrected it by admitting that he lied.
Let's move on to another...
Exactly. Like, oh my God. I hate the media. You don't hate the media enough, guys. You do not hate the media enough. He did not correct himself until they brought it up, until Republicans brought it up. But allegedly, moderates do not like what he is saying, right? This is what really annoys me, right? And I believe she is a chameleon candidate. She'll say anything she needs to do to win an election, right? Like, I'm never deleting this app. She's releasing her policy platform next week. So what were you all supporting then? Like, what are you currently supporting then? Like, imagine that. You got to wait another week before you get her policy position, and she's been here, what? She's about to run about 3 weeks already. 3 weeks. And you just not going to get her policy position. Come on, guys. Come on. We come on. I got another 2-minute clip, and then I'll wrap it up after this video.
And I can't believe I have to ask you this, but I do, because Donald Trump has been attacking Kamala Harris's racial identity.
He has not been, but ask your question.
Well, he questioned her racial identity. He said a number of years ago she happened to turn black. Her father is Jamaican. Do you believe Kamala Harris is black?
I believe that Kamala Harris is whatever she says she is, but I believe importantly that President Trump is right that she's a chameleon.
Based on everything I just explained to you guys, does that not validate his claim in the intro? Like, we're coming back full circle now. No policy positions. People are supporting her based on, I don't know, vibes. Emotionalism is just wrecking our politics. It's destroying us. Like, we're not a serious country if Kamala Harris is elected. I'm being dead serious. You let a candidate get away with 3 weeks of no policy positions. They announce, oh yeah, Kamala's policy platform is coming out this week, and people are going, "Well, you've been supporting this whole time." Emotionalism. Look, nothing ever gets done with your feelings, bro. Politics. We wonder why our politics is the way it is. Why politicians will say what we want to hear, because that's emotionalism, instead of saying what you need to hear. Hey, you need to hear it. Yo. We heading for some bad times. We need to cut back on the budget. What you want to hear is, hey, we will be able to cut the budget and still spend a lot of the tax money to help you all. People want to believe that. People like the desirability of a policy rather than the feasibility of a policy. How can you do all this government spending when by the time we get into 2025, we'll cross $1 trillion in debt payments, interest debt payments? This is not sustainable. But you want to elect the Democratic Party, who is known, who has a track record of spending more federal dollars than the Republican Party. Usually. Trump, the COVID was a freak accident, but people want to hold it to Trump. Like, make it make sense. But I digress.
She pretends to be one thing in front of one audience. She pretends to be something different in front of another audience. Look, Dana, she's not running a political campaign. She's running a movie. She only speaks to voters behind a teleprompter. Everything is scripted. She doesn't have her policy positions out there. She hasn't answered why she wanted to ban fracking, but now she doesn't. She wanted to fund police, but now she doesn't. She wanted to open the border, but now she doesn't. She should have to answer for why she presents a different set of policies to one audience and a different set of policies to another audience. And I think that's what President Trump is getting at. This is a fundamentally fake person.
Fake person. I think the American voters understand what JD Vance is saying here, right? She'll say what she needs to say to get a win, right? And it seemed like it's working with the polls, right? Right? You got these brain dead liberals like Brian Kanzenstein. I don't think Brian Kanzenstein represents liberals at all. I just think he's using it to, I don't know, for fake engagement on Twitter. I don't know. Know why? Kamala doesn't have any policies. Why would I support someone who's actively in a current administration saying she will only help prices after getting elected, has no stated policies, and just copied her rival because she has no policies? Exactly. But this is who y'all supporting. This is who's currently allegedly leading in the polls right now. Let me show you guys. Let me show you this. I was baffled by this poll. Who do you trust more on the economy? Harris leads by 1%. First time a Democrat leads since the survey began is the Financial Times. Like, what the hell's going on here, guys? Like, this is why I said the media is a threat to America. Because you're putting a copycat candidate with no substance, all flash, no substance, no policies, still working on her policy position. She's been here 3 weeks already. She used to be a senator. She was running for president in 2020, and you're telling me she doesn't have a policy platform? 3 weeks? I mean, I'm baffled right now. But JD Vance is doing a great job. I like his approach. I don't think JD Vance should change his approach. I think he needs to continue on this line of attack, because this is what the American people need to hear. Sorry. Medicine is not always going to taste good, but it's definitely what you need. And I think people need this medicine that, you can't trust the mainstream media. You can't trust legacy media. You can't trust an institution that 97% of their workers are Democrats, U.S. journalists. Journalism is the most left-wing profession in America right now. And people who just like, oh yeah, they're credible. Oh yeah, fancy teleprompter. Yeah. Oh look, you got a banner on the screen. They must be objective. And I don't buy all this crap about them. Oh, they're true professional skin. They can put their bias aside. Yeah. Tell me that with Google. Their liberal bias bled into their product, Gemini, and it was generating false history, diverse Nazis. Yeah. That's what happens when liberals try to pretend to be objective. Their bias bleeds into their work, and you can't say the same about the journalists. It's obvious their biases are bleeding into their work. But I digress. I think this was a masterful interview by JD Vance. Let me know your thoughts about it in the comments section as well. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. I appreciate you guys watching to the end of the video, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.